totally new trend also seems to be emerging because there's so much we just don't know about this virus. Now, there are reports of patients going to the doctor or calling 911 thinking they're having a heart attack. And then they find out that it is related to coronavirus instead. Out front now, the co-director of the Cardiac Catheterization Program at George Washington University Hospital, Dr. Jonathan Reiner, who also advised the George W. Bush White House for 8 years and is the cardiologist for former Vice President Dick Cheney. Dr. Reiner, thank you for being on the program tonight. So someone thinks they are having a heart attack, they go to the hospital, and you say you're seeing this right now in your hospital?
Well, not just at GW, but all around the world. Early on in the pandemic, reports started to circulate, first coming out of China and then out of Italy, of patients who would present with more typical COVID-19 symptoms, maybe even severe symptoms, recover from their, or seemingly recover from their respiratory illness, and then suddenly decompensate in a matter of hours and die. And what physicians around the world were identifying were patterns that suggested that the heart itself was being attacked by either the virus or by an exuberant immune response to the virus, in some cases mimicking that of a heart attack.
So is there any way to tell if someone comes in, and you're talking about some cases where you're saying someone maybe have recovered, but in some cases when someone either doesn't know that they had symptoms of COVID-19, so they have no awareness that they had anything to do with coronavirus, or asymptomatic, they come in presenting with a heart attack. How can you tell whether it's the coronavirus or a heart attack? How do you know?
Yeah, it can be really hard, and it's creating a dilemma for teams around the United States and around the world. Many of the symptoms of acute coronavirus illness, the shortness of breath and chest pain, mimic those of a heart attack. And we're seeing in an increasing number of patients EKG abnormalities that also mimic or differ in a very subtle way from a classic non-infectious heart attack, and it can be very hard to tease this out. The problem is that still very few places in the United States, almost no place in the United States, has the ability to do rapid COVID-19 testing. Hopefully with the announcement of the system coming online, that'll change. But right now, if a patient comes to the emergency room with symptoms of a heart attack and an EKG consistent with a heart attack, it may be a classic myocardial infarction, or it could be a patient presenting with COVID. So early on, we developed a strategy to just assume that every patient coming to our ER with these symptoms might be infected with COVID-19, and put in place a protocol to protect our staff and to essentially universal precautions for.
So this is, look, it's very terrifying for people, especially because they don't know what you don't know, and you think, oh, this isn't what I'm suffering from, and then indeed it could be something else. But you're also mentioning the fact that this changes the entire way you have to treat people, right? You have to assume more people have coronavirus than probably do, or that you would otherwise have assumed, because you now have this data, which affects how you have to prepare yourself. And the president today was talking about New York hospitals and why they're running out of personal protective equipment.